Yes, sir, we're officially back at it. This is Boog Nice coming at you with the Marvel Legends Apocalypse Build-A-Figure Wave Overview and Apocalypse Build-A-Figure Review. Let's do it.
This ain't for no scalper. You a scalper? Then fuck out shit. This one's for them real collectors. That's army building and posing figures. Marvel Legends, imports, mini matey I'm fucking with them. Hype beast we know about. You stay buying figs, don't know about it.
Alright, so we just a little over halfway through 2018. We've already had at least 5 or 6 Marvel Legends waves in 2018 with some additional box sets and Walgreens exclusives. And at this momentum, it looks like Marvel Legends will once again, at least in my opinion, be the top toy line of 2018 and the most consistent. They've absolutely made some phenomenal strides and they continue to get better, but there are quite a few things that I'd like to see them update and improve on in the coming year or throughout the remainder of this year into 2019. Looking at all the figures together, it is a pretty solid wave and there are a lot of hits, a few misses. So I'll knock the ladies out first. Talking about Storm, I think she came out nice. I think the sculpt and the design is nice, but not really the costume choice that I wanted for Storm. I wanted to kind of complete an 80s X-Men. Even though this is an 80s look, it's just not the outfit that I was anticipating for Storm. However, the head sculpt is really nice. She looks great in a vanilla stance. She came with some pretty decent accessories, some accessories that I don't think we've had before. And, you know, they can be utilized with other figures. I appreciate that. But, you know, it's the age-old problem with me and with the female figures from Marvel Legends is that there's not enough articulation. We absolutely need an updated female buck that has great articulation. Another one of my gripes with Storm is how the head sits. It looks awkward from behind. From the front, it looks fine, but I think the head should have actually been able to sit on the neck a little deeper. She's also got some separate sculpted parts here that may be good for kit bashing. The cuff to the glove is a separate part, so if you want to pull the hands off and pull the cuff off and have her ungloved, if you were to able to get another brown hand, then that would be great. The vest is a separate part. Her belt is a separate part. A couple quick size comparisons with some Storms of the past. You have the old Toy Biz version and the highly sought after and very scarce Jubilee Build-A-Figure Wave version. Psylocke is a figure that has been highly anticipated. The original Psylocke that we got from Toy Biz is pretty terrible now in comparison to this figure. And the one that we got some time ago from SDCC, I guess that was 2012 maybe, from the X-Force box set, correct me if I'm wrong. That figure is absolutely dated as well. They updated the buck here. She looks good. She looks Asian, which is important. I see a variant of this figure floating around out there with purple hair. There's some debate as to whether or not this is an official Jim Lee style Psylocke though. And I do feel like people want an updated Psylocke, maybe with this buck or an updated buck. But with the X-Force uniform. And while I do appreciate all the accessories that they did give us with Psylocke, a couple of interchangeable hands, maybe something open so she could kind of put her hand to her head and simulate her using her psionic or telepathic abilities would have been cool too. We've been long overdue for a multiple man, but like the costume of Storm, I'm not 100% sure that I wanted to see this version of multiple man, especially since we don't have the option of taking off the jacket and having him without the long trench coat. But I did notice that the trench coat is somewhat different from the trench coats of the past. The lower portion of the coat is a little more soft and pliable in comparison to that Nick Fury coat that we've been getting for a while. While the design or the sculpt of it seems to be very similar or the same, it looks like they may have done some things to make it where the arms will go closer to the side and that this portion of the coat is a little more pliable, which is cool. Now the fact that he came with a couple of different interchangeable heads is really nice. So you got a couple of different expressions and that's cool. Angry. And then you also have him unmasked, which looks like it's just a revamp of the Peter Parker head maybe, but it does actually look pretty close to Multiple Man. I would have liked to see some extra hands with this guy. You know, this is a guy who's very expressive and funny, and some different sculpted hands would have been really, really cool. So they didn't really go to distance with this guy. I hope they go to distance with this team and at least finish out this team. But I was hoping for a more modern look for Multiple Man. Also, the fact that he's only one per case is really disheartening. They should know that people want to have multiples of Multiple Man, and he should have been 2 per case. Marvel's Superman Before Century, Gladiator here. Pretty much what you would expect if you were able to pick up the first version from the SDCC Thanos Imperative box set. But this guy is a more classic look for Gladiator, whereas the other one was more modern. I think I kind of like this guy better. Although they didn't do anything different or update anything with his buck, I would like to see him with butterfly joints and a full range of motion. It is cool, and I'd like to see them do Lilandra, which they had teased many, many years ago. But now that they've updated some of their body molds, to see a Lilandra and to see maybe some more of the Imperial Guard or the Royal Guard would be great. I'd like to see them explore some of the characters from the rise and fall of the Shi'ar Empire story arc and the story arc that featured Vulcan and all of that stuff that was in Uncanny X-Men. I can't remember the numbers, but that whole entire story arc, I've talked about that before. But to explore the characters from that would be cool in figure form. Pretty much the same issue though with the head that you had on the box set version, where it's a little wonky. You can actually get him to look down though. On the box set version, it was a problem with him trying to look down. The head would just be popping back up, but you can see it's really loose on that joint. Still, he looks pretty good. Disappointed that he didn't come with any accessories. I mean, aside from his cape, which you can remove, he should have definitely come with some interchangeable hands or maybe a different head sculpt, an angry screaming version or something like that. You know, kind of lackluster on the accessories with Gladiator. Looking at Magneto and another costume that I don't particularly care for. I would have liked to see them finally give us an updated classic Magneto, because the last one that they tried to put out was just atrocious. That was probably one of the first times that I ever got a figure and started trying to kit bash him immediately. Usually I don't do that. I keep at least one version of my figures stock, and then if I get another, I'll kit bash. But with that Magneto that was released before, I started trying to fix him up immediately, and he was just a really bad figure. So getting this guy in hand, it's not as bad as I anticipated. I'm not quite sure if this is the right buck for him still, but it's cool. It's okay. All of this is a separate part. This cloak and the shoulder pads and stuff is all one piece. These gauntlets are a separate sculpted part. You can pull the hands off and pull those out. And the fact that he was packed in with some accessories was cool. Interchangeable hands to kind of simulate his magnetic powers, which can actually be used with other figures. Somebody had asked about these being utilized with the Bishop figure from the Sauron Build-A-Figure wave, and you can make it work. It's a very snug fit with Bishop, but yeah, moving right along with Magneto. He's also packed in with the same effects that we got for Storm, just in purple, and these are very soft, pliable material. So his head can be removed and the cloak can be removed. I hate the way that pegs in, to be honest, but he also comes with an interchangeable unmasked head, which I'm not really a fan of. I don't know, the head looks kind of big and he looks very young with just white hair. He doesn't really look like an older man, and I see a little paint imperfection on there. Let me get the cloak back on. So yeah, not a huge fan of that. It's okay. Man, what a huge disappointment this Sabretooth is. I mean, it's not total trash, but they definitely didn't go the distance here. This is not the buck that I wanted to see for an updated new 2018 Hasbro Marvel Legends Sabretooth. And they dropped the ball on a couple of different things. First of all, we need a new buck for Sabretooth. I saw a lot of people commenting on my Omega Red video and saying that we should have gotten Sabretooth on that particular buck, which would have been cool. People wanted Venom on that buck as well. I saw a lot of comments with that. But I hate the way the head sits on this body here. It's not deep enough. It should be sitting deeper on here to really bring out his like traps. This is a separate part, which is fine. I don't have an issue with that, because if you wanted to take this off and maybe put a trench coat or something on him, that would be cool. But I would have liked to have seen some more interchangeable hands, maybe a fist or something like that. Not absolutely necessary for Sabretooth, but you know, this is just lackluster, and the head sculpt is not great. I really don't like the head sculpt that much either. There's the most recent Sabretooth that we got. This I actually like for a relaxed look. It's not too bad. And the Toy Biz version, which is probably the best Marvel Legends version that we have. I know there'll be a bunch of Toy Biz loyalists in the comments saying that this is still the better one. And in terms of articulation and height, it is. And I mean, the face even on this one is pretty nicely detailed. I would have liked to see the updated Sabretooth have been this tall with a great deal of articulation, but just in the more modern sort of Hasbro way that will fit in with other Hasbro figures. But in the face-off 2-pack version, which was a little on the small side, but in comparison with the Wolverine that he was packed in with, it matched up pretty well. But this had nice sculpting and shading. Wolverine is probably the best figure in this wave, just because it's such a great buck for this guy. I mean, it's more of the same, what you would expect if you've got any of the other previous brown suit Wolverines, the first one from the Juggernaut Build-A-Figure wave or the second from the vintage wave, but they did leave out a few things. One thing in particular that you can notice right off the bat is that they didn't put any hair on his arms, which is unfortunate. I've seen a lot of people trying to pry the flaps of his mask open more to give it more of a classic or comic book accurate look. I've seen some people heat it up and open this up just a little bit. The fact that they gave us interchangeable hands for a relaxed set of hands was cool, but it would have been nice to get a relaxed face or unmasked face with this, and the cowl. That would have been cool too, but I can totally see them re-releasing this figure as a vintage wave figure and then adding the hair and adding some extra things. I'm sure they'll do that. I've seen some people take the belt off of this guy and put it on the brown suit, so it's a more comic accurate look for that. And this is more of a mustard yellow and not yellow. Whereas the classic look was more yellow, this is more mustard. So again, I could see them re-releasing this guy as a vintage figure. And we've gotten so many Wolverines over the past year or so, it's been pretty crazy. And there's the Ultimate Riders version with a lot of hair on the arms. And even if you wanted to take apart this older Wolverine from the, I guess that's the Jubilee Build-A-Figure wave, and try to use this cowl, you'd have to pop this head off, which is not as simple as popping off the heads for the newer Hasbro Legends. The colors still wouldn't match up. And while you can take this head off and put the vintage series unmasked head on this body, and if you wanted to repaint this cowl, you could, but like I said, I'm sure they'll go through the motions and update this at some point. I need them to figure out something with these claws though. You know, I had to kind of mess with mine to get them straight to make them look good, but you know, this is a pain in the butt. We got to figure out something, or Hasbro's got to figure out something where we can get straight claws every time that look good, that aren't all over the place. These are like, seem really delicate, and I don't like that. And finally, we got a new Marvel Legends Apocalypse. I think Hasbro did a really good job on this guy. I do have a few issues, but no question the good outweighs the bad. And I got a bit of a hot take here, but I think that the Toy Biz Marvel Legends Apocalypse Build-A-Figure is a terrible figure. I think the upper torso and the head on that figure is phenomenal, but the arms and the legs and the way he looks when he's whole, it just does not look good. He has a hard time standing. The proportions on that figure were just horrible, but I'll be breaking them out shortly, or what I have of him, because I'm actually missing some parts. But yeah, I think Hasbro definitely stepped it up with this one. I think the smaller regular version of Apocalypse from Toy Biz is still decent, but he's oddly very like pudgy and like robust and like funny looking as well. So going over the deco for this new Apocalypse, I'm not sure what they were going for here. It is a modern look, and I have a picture in my mind of the style for Apocalypse they may have been going for. That'll probably pop up on the screen here, but I don't feel like they followed any one costume design or deco design for Apocalypse. So they kind of did their own thing here, it seems like. I know a lot of people probably wanted a redo of a classic Apocalypse with the A here and the A up there, similar to the Toy Biz Build-A-Figure, I guess, that sort of look, just kind of scaled down. And I know some people are complaining and saying that this guy is small for Apocalypse, but I don't think so. Not in his base form. You know, he can shrink and grow at will, so I think this is a good size for his base form, no question. They did great with the paintwork here, especially this blue and how it looks like sort of marbleized and like really, it looks really nice and vibrant. I like that a lot. The boots, you know, everything here looks pretty clean. Maybe it could use a bit of a wash or something like that, but it's a lot of different textures and things going on here, and they did a really good job on this head sculpt as well. Yeah, give you a good look at that. As a matter of fact, let's do this. I like the fact that pretty much all of these parts on Apocalypse are removable too, so you definitely get your kit bash on and explore some different things. I would have liked to have seen another head sculpt though. Something more relaxed. You know, he's not always around mean mugging. Sometimes he's just standing around looking mean, but, you know, not showing his teeth or anything. I would have liked a relaxed head, and that's why I said in a previous review that I might try to swap on the old Toy Biz version head onto this one, since I have two of those, and just kind of maybe repaint it to match this and see how that looks for a more relaxed look for him. But I do think that this head sculpt looks nice. And pretty standard articulation for a male from Marvel Legends. You saw the head was on a ball joint. It'll look down pretty far. Even with this collar around his neck, he'll turn left to right. He'll look up, not too far. You're not going to get the best motion going back or left to right with the collar on, but at least he can look down, and that's important since he's tall. The shoulder pads here are on like a little hinge, so you can get them to move up a bit. So that way you can put his arms up pretty far. Should be popping the arm out there, but that's good that that comes out. I'll get into that later, but the arms can go up. They can do a full 360. You got an upper bicep swivel. You only get a single jointed elbow, and it's hindered quite a bit by this here. But like I said, all of these parts can actually come off. So you can actually remove this, and then you get a little bit more, or at least 90 degrees there. So the articulation is there, but it's absolutely hindered by the parts that are on him. But again, it's cool that the hands could come out. Like I said, I'll get into that later, but you get a swivel and a hinge on the wrist. You get a decent ab crunch going forward and back. You get waist articulation. This belt is a separate piece, which is good as well. T-joint at the pelvis. He gets a decent split. Of course, Apocalypse needs to split, but Spider-Man doesn't. Upper thigh swivel. You get a double jointed knee. No rotation at the upper boot. You do get a hinge and a nice deep pivot on the foot. So not bad articulation for a big guy. And you can definitely remove these coils if you want to, but they don't really get in the way. They're long enough and pliable enough where you can move his arms and get them up, and there's really no issue. So that was an issue with the older Apocalypse, but not with this new guy. Yeah, there's a look at the old one. He's got the monkey face, but again, like I said, maybe you could pop this head off and pop it on there just for a sort of different look, and maybe just paint the blue to match that blue. But I didn't like the coils on this guy because they were a hindrance in a way. You know, they didn't come out, and they were kind of short in comparison to the other ones, and they stuck straight out like that. But you know, this was a lot of plastic here for Toy Biz. It was a lot going on. Not the greatest articulation, definitely as far as the ab crunch goes. The head got a better range though for the most part. So it's not a bad figure, but side by side, I think the newer version definitely has the advantage, definitely has the edge over the other. Again, these proportions just look weird. I know a lot of people like the articulated fingers. I'm not really a fan of that. I'd rather just have interchangeable hands. I think the hands were just a little oversized on that guy. I would have liked to see some interchangeable hands for this Apocalypse. I would have liked to see some interchangeable hands and parts for the old one back in the day. And they didn't really do that for us here on the new one. But, and actually, hold on, before I get into that, just giving you a look at the Toy Biz Build-A-Figure. Like I said, the head, this whole torso area looks amazing. And again, this is the sort of classic look. He's got the A here and the A here. On this one, he's only got the A on the belt. But this whole area looks amazing. When you get these arms and legs on, though, it looks so wonky and so stupid. And I'm actually missing the left arm and left leg for mine. So if anybody out there has that, let me know. But I had quite a few of these throughout throughout time, and I ended up selling one and accidentally selling the parts that I needed for my other one that I had complete but not assembled, and I'm screwed up. So Even though I don't like this BAF too much, I am a completist when it comes to the Build-A-Figures for Marvel Legends, and aside from these two parts, I have every single Build-A-Figure since the very beginning. A few things to note. To me, it looks like the fist for Colossus, the fist for Apocalypse, and the fist for the Mandroid Build-A-Figure are all the same exact scope. You can take off the arms for Apocalypse. They're not locked in like the arms on the Mandroid Build-A-Figure, which was just really dumb, even though you ended up getting a lot of these arms if you were trying to army build. You can't remove this once you have the arm in. At least I don't think you can. I was trying, it wasn't coming out. So that means if you were to have one of these extra arms and you plugged it into Apocalypse, you might be shit out of luck. I'm not sure about that. However, the arm for the Titus Build-A-Figure here can be plugged into Apocalypse and you can remove it. So to simulate his shape-shifting abilities, if you just got this arm and repainted it, then you'd have at least one option for Apocalypse. So I guess the price of Titus is about to go up a bit, or at least whatever figure comes with this arm. I can't remember. But yeah, that's one option. A little disappointing that you can pop the hands off, but you don't have any interchangeable hands. They could have given us a buzzsaw or some type of sharpened weapon and some guns and different things. Man, that would have really gave this guy more fun factor, more playability. And considering that Wolverine was only packed in with these coils, they could have packed Wolverine in with the extra weapons, you know? Well, ask and you shall receive. You're looking at something that was revealed at SDCC 2018 this past weekend, and that was an updated Archangel with some interchangeable heads and a swappable hand for the Apocalypse Build-A-Figure. So hopefully they'll keep putting swappable parts for Apocalypse, like I mentioned, Buzzsaw and different things in upcoming X-Men releases. So that was cool. I was actually supposed to put this video out before San Diego Comic-Con, but I had a version that was about 70 or 80% complete, and then I lost it, and then I got caught up with the whole, with all of the videos and things I needed to do for SDCC, and I had to come back to this. So luckily I was able to come back to it, get it finished, and get this out. And thanks for hanging out. Look for a bunch of more content from SDCC. I'll probably do a little recap. And check the description below for a link to order this Archangel as well. As always, rate, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, peace.
That's crispy.